That's right. Be a rebel and worship the sun, according to The Gap. This is Clutch, by the way. We had the lead man from Clutch on the Alex Jones Show on Friday. If you missed any of that show, you can go get the podcast over at InfoWars.com. Or better yet, why don't you become a subscriber of PrisonPlanet.tv at only $5.95 a month, and much less if you get a year-long subscription. You get to see all of these shows live and archived, all the Alex Jones shows, all of my films, and, of course, all of Alex Jones's films dating all the way back to the late 90s when, again, in America Destroyed by Design, the man told you that this climate change, global warming propaganda was about a carbon tax, and now we can literally read the documents that are on the table for the conference that takes place in less than 3 weeks. Not all of us are worshiping the quote-unquote new president of the world, our global savior, something that Al Gore is also trying to prop himself up as. And I won't be surprised when I see the new comic books not only having Barack Obama, but perhaps Barack Obama and Al Gore teaming up with Spider-Man or Superman. I mean, when I look at a Newsweek cover like the one that I'm displaying for all the PrisonPlanet.tv viewers out there, and I see this green apple out there, and he's posing as our savior. Without Al Gore, we won't be able to have delicious Granny Smith sour apples that I love so much. Well, actually, without carbon dioxide, we wouldn't have delicious Granny Smith apples, because that's what plants breathe, sir. So stop your lying ways. And it's also kind of set up to be an offshoot of that famous painting of the man with the hat and the apple, so that you associate this with like power and prominence, all sorts of big propaganda techniques being used out there to draw you in, to pull you in to a false paradigm where you become really just a useful idiot, somebody that doesn't know any better and promotes an agenda they understand absolutely nothing about. We're going to start taking your calls, 888-201-2244. Remember, upcoming next hour, we have Will Bratton, former Iraqi war veteran running for Congress here in Texas. Let's go to our first caller who's been holding quite some time. Let's go to Brad in Florida. Brad, you're on the line.
Congratulations, Jason. I hope you enjoyed that champagne.
It was actually pretty tasty. I'm not much of a champagne man, but it was good stuff. What do you got for me?
Hey, Jason, these aren't just brush fires. These are forest fires, and they've got to be kept on the front page. They can't be pushed back. There are so many things going on between the audit, the Fed, and this. What you've been talking about today is there has to be criminal charges brought. This has to be made front page. They have to start going after these guys. And I also think that you have to bring in the fact that this gold situation where they're assaying the world's gold. I mean, they found that that's fraudulent.
Well, they're absolutely now trying to set up a false scarcity out there by saying, oh, the world's gold production is done. They knew that this would happen. They saw the gradual rise of gold. People like Warren Buffett invested in gold, and when he knew the dollar was going to collapse over 6-7 years ago, what did he do? He reinvested in other currencies so he could keep his wealth. He knows that governments that promote global governance, such as the European Union, the euro is going to do well. He knew the pound would do well because it is part of that European Union. So a lot of these guys are ahead of the curve, and now they're trying to get even further ahead of the curve with the precious metals market. I thank you for the call, Brad. I totally agree with you that we have to keep up on these issues like audit the Fed. We have to keep up on these issues of global climate change. That's why we're on the air reading the actual Copenhagen Treaty word for word. I didn't write it. Alex Jones didn't write it. The globalists wrote it to control the masses. And you can now drive up and get gas, and they will openly tell you what a cap and trade scheme is by showing you Uncle Sam and saying, hey, if this thing passes, if we pass this carbon tax, your gas is going up 75 cents a gallon. A gallon, but you'll still have people buy into the propaganda that this is a tax for the elite. Listen, if the elite are paying more, I got news for you. You're paying double, triple, quadruple what they're paying because they have to make a profit. It's all they know. It's all they know. We'll be back after this. Is the InfoWarrior with Jason Bermas. Go check us out over at InfoWars.com or get a subscription right now at PrisonPlanet.tv.
There is a war going on for your mind. Professional wrestlers and vice presidents want you to believe them. The desert sky is their blue screen. They superimpose explosions. They shout at you. Pay no attention to the men behind the barred curtain, nor the craters beneath the draped flags. Those hoods are there for your protection, and the meteors these days are the size of corpses. There is a war going on for your mind. We are the insurgents.
And we are back live. It's the InfoWarrior with Jason Bermas, 6 to 9 Central on Sundays. You can go get the podcast after the show over at the InfoWarrior.com or go check us out at PrisonPlanet.tv and YouTube. And I was just made aware of this comment line. I guess it's rather popular. I haven't really talked about it on my show, but it's 646-4444. That's a 512 number, folks. 512-646-4444. You can give us your best 60 to 90 second rant on any subject matter, and it could be played here on the InfoWarrior or over on the Alex Jones Show. We're going to continue to go to your calls, 888-201-2244, but I wanted to make people aware of that comment line. Folks, we're all about ways to actually get people's attention, to provide solutions, to provide the tools to open up the minds of your friends, your families, your neighbors out there so that they understand the issues, not these do-nothing conferences or these pats on the back or these co-opted events that really take energy from well-meaning people and subvert that energy into, the void, if you will. That's why we find it is so important that you make copies of our documentary films, whether they're the Obama deception and they're exposing this administration along with Fall of the Republic, or their Loose Change Final Cut and Fabled Enemies exposing the lies of 9/11. That's how you can have a great effect. You can run for city council. We're having a young Iraqi war veteran on today because he's running for Congress. He's actually trying to combat the system in a constructive manner. And back to the Baxter issue, they've gone mainline with this, and now, supposedly in the last 24 hours, thousands and thousands more have been infected with this mutated virus. In fact, I've got a mutated virus headline in my stacker. Look, the bottom line is these people can't be trusted. They are making money hand over fist with these vaccinations. They've actually come out in some of these things and said that Tamiflu would combat the swine flu, when in the beginning they said Tamiflu, of course, would have no effect whatsoever, and that it would only be able to help against possibly the seasonal flu. So, this is something that we've kept up on. We've warned people about through this show and Alex's. People are aware of Guillain-Barré syndrome. People like Howard Stern are talking about the young cheerleader that took the regular flu vaccination and was basically paralyzed. So we've reached a lot of people out there. And as far as this one scientist, I'm not sure about his own story. Look, I know there are people out there that are genuine. I know there are people out there that embellish information. This guy seems to be the real deal, and we have to keep our finger on the pulse of this story for sure. Let's go to the next caller. Let's hit Jim in Florida. Jim, you're on the line. Yes, sir.
Hey, Jason. How are you doing?
Good.
Good. I'm from Florida, too, and I'm glad that there's been a couple other people called in from Florida this evening. I have been really upset the last couple days with the number of chemtrails that we're seeing here in Florida. I know that several people have called in over the last couple weeks saying, we've never seen chemtrails like this. We've never seen chemtrails, so many of them before.
Mm-hmm.
So, I was just wondering what your ideas are about why we're seeing so many chemtrails.
Well, all right, let me tell you. The bottom line is that the White House administration has put out memos over 6 months ago where they said that they would be running experiments where they would be shooting particulates into the atmosphere, particles and particulates, to block the sun in order to combat global warming. We know from the research of these particulates that have been showing up since before the Bush administration in certain areas of the United States and continued throughout his administration into the Obama administration, that they have high levels of aluminum oxide, of barium, of other heavy metals. We know that we can control the weather to a certain extent. Weather modification is real. A headline we read out last week was Chavez in Venezuela would be riding along in planes, zapping clouds with, I think, a zinc type substance so that it would rain. So we know this has been going on for years and years and years and years. Ben Livingston, years ago, came on the Alex Jones show, the father of weather warfare. Yes, weather warfare. They've talked about using this as a type of warfare and gave him an interview. That's going to be in an upcoming Alex Jones picture. I personally went out and spent I think 3 or 4 days with Rosalind Peterson of CaliforniaSkywatch.com. And CaliforniaSkywatch.com, to me, is the definitive website on all things, quote-unquote, chemtrail related. She calls them prolonged jet contrails, but we're really talking about the same thing. And it's a subsidiary right now of NASA. NASA has taken over the program. There is a ton of great information. Just Google Rosalind Peterson. Check out the interviews I've done with her, the interviews that Alex Jones has done with her, and look forward to seeing her in an upcoming Alex Jones project. I thank you for the call.